So I want to welcome everyone and thank you for being here for our 25th anniversary celebration. We have so many members of our McGovern community here. We have faculty, staff, students, postdocs. Thank you all for being here. We also have Dean Nurgis Mavavala, who will be joining us representing the MIT administration. And we also have many of the people who have supported our faculty and students over the years, starting, of course, with our co-founder, Lori McGovern. And I'm so pleased that Liz McGovern of the McGovern family and representing the Patrick J. McGovern Foundation is here, which has provided invaluable support to our institute. I'd also like to recognize Lisa Yang, a board member and major supporter of faculty research and our young trainees, as well as other supporters I see here today, Robert Buxton, Valerie Stelling, Gardner Hendry, Paul Bernard, J.M. Michael Vocic, and Lucia Vina. We deeply appreciate all of your support for supporting our pioneering research in the McGovern Institute. Basically, all of us have a lot to be proud of. We have a full program today, including presentations by many people important to the McGovern Institute, as well as our alumni who represent our future. You'll be hearing about their transition to important positions in academia and industry later today. Finally, I really have to thank the McGovern headquarters staff who worked incredibly hard to put together this program. Sarah Frank, a shout out to Sarah. Kara Fleeg, Jill Crittenden, Gail Luchin worked on nearly every aspect of the program. And a big thanks to Julie Pryor and Glass Ink Media, who created the video you will be seeing shortly. She also oversaw the creation of the dedicated newsletter for the anniversary. You may mistake it for the phone directory outside. It's so big, but it's an amazing newsletter documenting a lot of the things going on in the Institute. And you can also find it on our website. And next, we have a musical performance composed by the renowned composer, Kirill Macon, who is the Kerner Professor of Music Composition at MIT, and is performed by the Radius Ensemble.
Surprise, Lori. It's really an honor for me to have written this piece for the celebration of McGovern Institute at 25 years. There are two inspirations for this piece. I know nothing about the brain. Mine hopefully works. But really, I know something about community and collaboration. And learning about McGovern over the past few months, I was struck by the fact that the labs here and the groups really build upon each other's work, that there is a collaborative sense, not a competitive one, and that there is sort of a path forward that all of you are sharing together. I also was impressed the degree to which postdocs and graduate students are part of the community here, and that it really is, something that's not siloed. And I took that as an inspiration. So the piece is called Together. And in fact, at the beginning of the score is an instruction that says, always in conversation. So when I think about how great work is done, I do think of it as being in conversation with each other, taking an idea, working it over, and coming up with something new. Second inspiration is Lori herself. I met Lori, I think 20 years ago, honestly. And, she is a tremendous supporter of everything excellent at MIT, regardless of what the discipline might be. She holds people to a high standard of excellence, and she just is a remarkable person. So this performance is dedicated to you, Lori. Yes. And I'm very, happy to be joined with the Radius Ensemble, which includes both MIT faculty and other friends from the Boston area. So please, hope you enjoy.
So I would now like to introduce Lori McGovern, the co-founder of the McGovern Institute, along with Pat McGovern, and a board member of the McGovern Institute for these last 25 years. She has been a steadfast source of emotional support, intellectual support, financial support, and I have to say she's been a real partner who has helped us just tremendously grow the McGovern Institute over these years. Lori?
I loved especially the emotional support, and we had a number of emotions affect all of us. But, you know, gosh, standing here listening to the beautiful music, to the comments, you know, I'm actually quite emotional, and I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be calm. But it's like my prefrontal cortex just released all these memories, and I see us signing our contract at MIT with Chuck West, Bob Silby, Phil Sharp, Pat, and me, and numerous other people in the room, really under difficult circumstances, because Chuck West's wife had a massive heart attack that night. And it put really a lot of stress on him, and yet he felt it was so important. So I see our early days at the old biology building, M20, it was at 25 of Amherst. And I remember coming into the entry, and there was this dusty portrait of some donor couple over some, what looked to me like an ATM machine. And I thought, oh God, please never have a portrait done, especially where you look like an adoring wife and you hang somewhere in some toilet. So sorry about that. But then, of course, we had our beginning of this building, and we had our shovel, and we did the ceremonial dig to, build this magnificent facility. And I remember walking through here, smelling the wet cement. I see these huge, big steel beams being hoisted, create cavernous spaces. I see the atrium open, with the ceiling open. And imagining how one day all these spaces would be filled with labs, populated by brilliant people, scientists, who are going to create the future. And so I see all this, and I see the atrium now with the glass ceiling, because the architect and I talked about the importance of light. If light come in even during dreary winter days. So here we are, today in this building. Now it's already 20 years old, and I remember thinking, is this auditorium going to be big enough, to hold all the people who will come in? It seems that although hundreds of people sign up, only half of them always show up. So in MIT way and status. But Bob, thanks for your very nice introductory comments. And, I'm actually getting old. I was 25 years younger then. And I hope to be around for a few more years to see the evolution and the next step, and to listen, to your vision for the next chapter of our institute. And I also am looking forward to all the alumni who are here, who will talk about where they are today and how being at the McGovern Institute, how it helped them shape their hopes and dreams and carry it forward, and the contributions they make. So I really look forward to all you young people who one day hopefully will be as old as all of us. Even though we are dealing with great dysfunction right now, and I don't want to put a damper on things, not just in DC, but around the world, but I know that exciting days lie ahead. And I want to paraphrase Nerges, who said, after darkness, there will always be light. And so I want to thank Nerges for that very positive, comment, and I fully subscribe to that. Now, let's go a little bit back to the beginning, the year 2000. It was really a very important year for many reasons. There were the Sydney Olympics. There was the birth of reality TV. Big Brother and Survivor, very, very important. But then there also was the first draft of the human genome, which actually is very important. And then some of you, how many were born in 2000 or before in this room? Oh my God, Scott. Anyway, so 2000, we had the big scare called Y2K. Well, it died on a whimper. It actually, in the end, meant nothing. But then, the other important thing in the year 2000 was the rise of pop culture. M&M, and I'm talking about the candy, and Destiny's Child, whoever that was. And do some of you remember PlayStation 2, the first home game video console? You know, those were all important things, but nothing was really more important. Well, maybe Human Genome Project, you know, sort of ranks equally or maybe teeny little bit above, was the creation of the McGovern Institute. It was a monumental moment for MIT, for Pat and me, and for neuroscience. And I also want to acknowledge Elizabeth, my wonderful, beloved stepdaughter, who was very much part of all of that. Now, over the last 25 years, I've often talked about how the Institute began and all the thinking and all the philosophy and all this. So I'm not going to do this today. Instead, I just want to thank the first 6 PIs who joined us, who believed in our vision, who believed in our philosophy of building a non-hierarchical, collaborative, cooperative environments where great science could be developed in basic brain research. And those people are Anne, and I'm going in alphabetical order, so not to take preference. Anne, Bob, Emilio, Martha, Nancy, and Tommaso, AKA Tommy, under the great leadership of the incomparable Phil Sharp. I call them truly the Magnificent Seven because, you know, my hat is off to you because you were the foundation of the group of people who really cemented what the McGovern Institute was going to be all about. But I also want to thank all the PIs who have come since, all the students, all the postdocs, and you know, amazing, amazing staff, Bob already pointed out, who have been dedicated and who have done just amazing things, all under the great leadership of Bob Desimone. We would not be where we are today without all of you. Now, Pat and I supplied the vehicle, but you, the scientists, the postdocs, the students, are the drivers, always charging toward a new horizon for breakthrough discoveries. Keep driving because success begets success. And I would be remiss not to also mention all the great donor investors who over the last 20 years or 25 years have collectively contributed over $500 million. And that does not include the gift Pat and I made. And also, because of the excellence of our scientists, over $425 million have come in federal funding. And I hope that our momentary detour is not going to impact that in the future. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And it has been a tremendous pleasure. It has been a privilege to play a tiny, tiny role on building this institution. And I'll be always eternally grateful. Now, let me introduce the one and only Phil Sharp.
You don't get to do that yet.
No. No. Hold on. No, you introduce him properly.
No, it's something for you, Lori.
No, you go sit
Well,
down.
I will do it,
No,
but first you have to take this book.
See what you talk about emotional support.
This is a special edition of our anniversary book for the anniversary book, and it's signed by the faculty with the inscriptions in there just for you.
Oh, thank you.
And we want you to have this
okay,
to
well-
remember the occasion.
Thank you. And, you know, not that I wanted to preempt this, but in Lori fashion, I had to. And I love you too. Anyway.
So you want to introduce
no,
Phil?
sit down.
All right, okay. We're introducing Phil.
You know, no, I really would like to introduce the one and only Phil Sharp. Now, that he's a great scientist goes without saying, but he's also one of the greatest listeners. And when I go back, the earful I gave him about the important positioning of the McGovern Institute for marketing and public relations in building a corporate or institutional culture and the things we should do, hiring these PR firms, working on logos, so we could have a common message, a common community. And you did that all with love and passion and patience, even though you would sometimes say, can you just go away now? I have busy things to do. But we build community. We build a culture that is actually the envy of many. So Phil, please come fill in the blanks. Thank you.
So thank you, Lori. I really have no way to respond to that introduction. Thank you so much for doing this for the MIT, the students, the faculty, and ultimately the world. So it's an honor to be asked to participate in this glorious event that really has had enormous impact and will, as Lori described, have enormous impact over the next decades. I want to comment on the early days. I was department chair in 2000 at MIT in biology, and when I took that position, I wanted to do two things: recruit a bunch of young faculty in the Department of Biology, and to expand neuroscience, because I felt neuroscience was coming to the age in which it had a lot to offer to humanity and to our culture and the country. And then President Vest came to me and said, there's these interesting people, Lori and Pat McGovern, who are interested in establishing a neuroscience institute at MIT, and I want to ask you if you'd be interested in meeting with them and potentially taking the leadership of founding the institute. Now, I had a problem. I wasn't a neuroscientist. I was a molecular biologist. And I had enough respect for neuroscience by that stage to know that I was not going to become a neuroscientist. Because I just didn't have time in my professional life. So I agreed because I thought it was something that was really exciting, possibilities. So I agreed to meet with Lori and Pat, and I met with them down at the Ritz-Carlton for breakfast. And we started talking about what they were interested in establishing this institute. And it was about communication and how important communication was to humanity. It was about education and how important education was. It was about maladies of the brain, that autism and others, that, it was time to be able to, time that science could make contributions to that. And it was such a human-oriented vision as to what could happen with a great neuroscience institute that it absolutely intrigued me. And I immediately raised my hand and said, if you're in, I'm in, we'll try it. So the first problem was, I'm not a neuroscientist, and I have to establish a neuroscience institute here at MIT. But here I had an advantage. I've been at MIT for many years at that stage, and I knew my colleagues, and I approached the colleagues in the Brain and Cog program, and they embraced me as someone who is interested in neuroscience, genuine in their interest in building an institute here, and they embraced me and supported me. And I won't name names, but two names are very prominent. Emilio Bizzi, who was head of that program, who could have immediately had a negative response to this, embraced me totally and supported me with remarkable advice. And Tommy, Poggio became my associate head. And it was just a blast working with these people and all the other people, Ann Graybill and others, who were part of that founding group in bringing together the McGovern. And then from biology, Bob Horowitz and Martha Constantine Patton joined us, and so we had this collaborative relationship across the campus and proceeded to launch the Institute. Now, that was in 2000 as it started. We had space over in E25, up on the 5th floor, a little office. We had to have an assistant. We recruited Lucian and Donna Wells, and we put together a team. Still here, can't imagine it. But we put together a team and started recruiting people and started to be involved in designing this beautiful building. And Charles Correa, who was an MIT undergrad from India, world-renowned architect, took on the design of the building with Goody and Clancy, who knew how to design labs. And out of it came one of the most beautiful pieces of architecture on campus. And as Charles Correa was ending the job and leaving, he pulled me aside, and the reason I'm going to say this is I want MIT to remember it. He said, "Phil, this building doesn't make sense unless the Parsons lab is there. So if they ever tear down that Parsons lab, make sure they put a building back there." Because the building really sets in Cambridge, as part of Cambridge, looks like a massive ocean liner going to the ocean and to the world. And he was right. So 2024, time to make a change. We needed a real neuroscience to run this place and to bring the McGovern to what it is now, a marvelous place. And we were able to recruit Robert Desimone. I retired and went back to doing my cell biology. And I can't tell you how pleased I have been by the 25 years of the McGovern. And the only thing I can say to you, over these 25 years, we made the right decision 25 years ago to launch into this marvelous science of neuroscience. And it's only getting more interesting, it's only getting more important, and all you have to look at, as Pat kept reminding us, is that ultimately we will understand ourselves better, we'll be able to communicate better, we'll be able to educate better, and we will get along. And the world needs that. Thank you.